Hi, this is Welcome to Self, and I'm your host, Dr. Hayley D. Quinn, fellow human, business owner, clinical psychologist, and coach. Welcome to Self is a place where you can come and learn about the practices that assist us as humans. Realise that you're not alone in the ways you struggle, and have your curiosity piqued on various topics as I chat to wonderful guests or bring you solo episodes. This is a place to remember that you are human first and have different roles in your life that need your attention. And for that, you need to take care of yourself in the best way you can. My aim is that this is a place of nourishment, growth, and nurture. A place where you can welcome yourself. Hi, and welcome to another episode. I'm excited to bring you another great guest for Season 4. My next guest was such a delight to interview, and we both really enjoyed the interaction, which I think you'll hear throughout the interview. We talk about living authentically in line with values, vulnerability as strength, accepting support from others during challenging times, and being cheerleaders for ourselves and others. It is my pleasure to introduce Rikke Kjelgaard. Rikke is a licensed psychologist, peer-reviewed ACT trainer, an awarded fellow of the ACBS, speaker, and chief rock and roller in her own business. Rikke is on a mission to help therapists thrive and to be brave and authentic helpers. Trained as a clinical psychologist, she has a 15-year background in the science of human behaviour and the practice of behaviour change. Rikke is a popular speaker at the Scandinavian as well as international stage, and she is known to bring both passion and vulnerability to her talks. She transforms the lives of her audience by bringing evidence-based strategies to her listeners in ways that are palatable, manageable, and impactful. Rikke is known to leave her audience in tears with compelling stories from her own life and to create extraordinary interactions between people. We may both have had a few tears during this interview. I'm sure you're going to love listening to Rikke as we chat together, and I think you'll find lots to take away from this episode as well. So sit back and enjoy. So hi Rikke, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast. It's really, really lovely to see you and finally meet you whilst online as in person as we're going to get. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Hayley. I'm honored to be here and so happy to see you too.
Fantastic. So could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what it was that kind of drew you to the helping professions, just as a kind of brief, who is Rikke?
Yeah, so I'm a psychologist and I am an ACT trainer. I train people in acceptance and commitment therapy. I live in Sweden. I come from Denmark, so I have my own company where I work with teaching people acceptance and commitment theory as a supervisor and a teacher. I'm not. Well, I want to say I'm not sure exactly how I got here, but I know I went to university. But when I was little, I wanted to be a fire truck, and then that didn't happen. But I always knew I wanted to either write, so to become a journalist or a psychologist, and I wasn't sure with what to go with, or if I was smart enough or good enough. And so what I did actually was after finishing school, I traveled for just about 5 years all over the world and gathered a lot of cool experiences. And so I know my parents were pretty worried that I would never get a degree in anything. And so when I came back, I from that traveling, seeing the world, meeting people, I always love to connect with people. I always love to help people reach whatever dreams they have for their life, to see people thrive. And so then I decided on psychology, and so fast forward, here I am today.
Yeah, it's interesting the amount of people who say that they wanted to be a journalist and ended up as a psychologist. I think it's
Yes.
quite a high number of people that do that. But also, it's lovely to hear when people have taken the more scenic route. I
Yeah.
psychology later in life as well, and I like to call it the scenic route. Um,
Yeah.
there's other
Yes.
ways I described it when I was younger, but now I see it as the scenic route. And I think we can learn so much, can't we, from those different
Yeah.
experiences instead of just kind of going along a formal path.
I'm
Um,
pretty happy both for myself, but also for the clients that I serve, that I had some experience in life and not just, gone to school my entire life. So, yeah, so I too started late and had one child during university and one child after. So, yeah, that was the path.
Yeah. So last year I heard you speak on Psychologists Off the Clock, and it really
Yeah.
was from listening to you that I then reached out and thought, oh my gosh, I just need to meet Rikke and get her on my podcast. What struck me was your authenticity and courage. Would you mind sharing the story of change that has most impacted you and has led you to this acceptance of who you are and what you're doing? Because that's what I really got from that, listening to you on the other podcast, was this deep sense of knowing who you are, accepting who you are, and moving forward in the world with that. Is that something you'd be happy to talk about?
Yeah, sure. And I love this question. And I'm thinking about, I'm not sure there's there's this like one story. And I think for me, it's like a chain of stories or a chain of experiences. So when I look back on my life, and I also when I listen to my parents talk about me, I was always like, if you'd say to me, do not press that red button, like surely I would do it. But also in myself, I have a lot of I fear criticism. I'm a perfectionist in a sense that's really not working for me often. And again, I'm really sensitive to criticism, and I have this fear all the time of doing things wrong. So on one hand, I'm like, again, I press the red button if you tell me not to, and then I'm really scared of the consequences. So it's a kind of an interesting mix. And the reason why I'm saying this is I want to let people know who listen to that you can be everything and not it's either this or that. But when I look back at myself, I have always, like, whenever somebody would try to put me down, I would always get incredibly sad. But I would also I would always think that it's so unfair, and I would kind of try and stand up for myself. So I've seen my life as kind of a series of me working on setting boundaries, trying to stand up for myself, standing up for others. When I was in school, and this is even maybe before I even remember it, but my mom said, like, if ever there was kind of a weak, I don't want to say but somebody who was less privileged or bullied, I would take care of that person. So I've always had a strong sense of this, like, nobody puts baby in the corner.
Yeah.
And so what has really, when this was then put to the test, like, I've gone through a horrible divorce and a horrible breakup. I've gone through starting my own company, when leaving another company that was really, really hard on me. So I've had so many instances where I have had the opportunity to practice standing up for myself, standing up for others. And I think that may be like what I am then now. What you see today is the kind of result of that. Many instances of standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and trying to allow others to do the same, because I think that's so important. Like the whatever we do in this world, I think we allow others to do the same. Like, if I give myself permission to set a boundary, I have also now given others permission to do the same. So I'm hugely into this, like, practice what you preach as a psychologist, like that we psychologists do or use the strategies that we invite our clients to use as well.
Yeah. absolutely. So this ongoing practice throughout your life of kind of
Ongoing
recognizing,
practice.
yeah,
Yes.
recognizing things about
Yes.
yourself, setting boundaries with other people. Yeah.
Yes. And being absolutely scared while I do it. So there's one, I remember when I was in the middle of a divorce. We were moving our children from, our house to two houses now, like me in an apartment and my ex-husband in his new house. And at the same time, I decided to leave the company I was in due to a variety of reasons. And so I was divorcing, heartbroken, and started my own company.
Yeah.
And I remember being in this apartment, and tell reading bedtime stories for the kids, and then crying all night, painting the walls by myself, and being an absolute mess, getting them to school, and then trying to do a little work, send my first invoice, and all of that. And I felt like I was a complete mess, and it was like spaghetti for 5 days in a row. It was really, really, I was struggling.
Yeah.
And then fast forward just a year after, my son, you'll hear me talk about my children all the time. They're my little gurus. My son had a conversation with somebody else where he came to me at a conference in Canada, and somebody asked him about his mother. And I was like, and he said, like, what's it like to have Rikke as a mom? And I was like, oh, looking back at what were the few years we just had where I was a complete mess. I wonder what he's going to say. And what was really beautiful and is really moving, that he said, the cool thing about my mom is that the way she gets up when life knocks her down.
Wow.
And I was like, that's it. That's it. That's what I can teach people, right? Because life will knock you down,
Yeah.
and life not like it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter. Like, it's a human condition, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I think that's my kind of motivation and that's my passion, that's my heart's mission, to help people get, because if I could, I would nobody would ever fall, but that's not realistic, isn't it? So helping people get up when life knocks you down, and I have done that. And so it's like, and it's not like, so you got up and then you stay up, like it's getting up one more time that you fall down.
Yeah, I think you make a really important point that, you can be doing this, you can be practicing these things and be really scared, and that life
Yes.
doesn't necessarily look pretty. It can look really
Yeah.
messy, it can look really ugly. There can be lots
Yeah.
going on, and you can still practice even just the small steps. You
Yes,
mentioned before
exactly.
that you work from a acceptance and commitment therapy perspective, and you do a lot of work with other helping professionals, teaching the ACT skills,
Yeah.
both for them professionally and personally. And I think
Yeah.
that's so important, isn't it, that we do walk the talk when it comes to what we're doing with our clients. So how has the training in ACT kind of changed things for you in the way you work? And what has that particularly done for you personally?
I think, and this is going to sound very big, it is very big. I think it has literally changed my life in the way that I have, through the ACT model, kind of. It wasn't until I found that ACT model that I understood that life is not about kind of fighting things you don't want, but rather allowing difficult thoughts and feelings, and making room for that, and navigating towards the life that you want. So I haven't, I don't think I'd had that conversation with anybody before I came into ACT about what kind of life is it that you want to live? What is important to you? How would you like to be towards others? How would you like to be towards yourself? So now, just as an example, I gave you the example of the situation where I was heartbroken, divorcing, all of that. I've really thought about, like, how do I want to go through this? Like,
Mhm.
So this is hard, and my heart is broken, and I'm in physical and I'm in mental pain. I'm just like, I feel broken. How would I like to show up for my children? How would I like to show up for my parents, my friends, and everybody? And that helped me. It did not take away any pain, but it helped me to navigate how I was and how I interacted with people close to me and the world in general in that time. And I'm not sure I would be able to do that. And even when it comes to my ex-husband, so we had a few years where it was like there was no very, very little communication. And when there was any communication, it was not particularly friendly. And I remember really, really saying to myself, who do I want to be as his ex-wife?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be towards the father of my children? And he was in a, I don't want to say anything bad about it, but he was in a different place, and he was navigating more from a place of anger.
Yeah.
And so I have so many friends who said, how do you keep inviting him? How do you keep being kind to him, although he's giving you shit back? And this is so important, because I said, he does not deserve that, but I deserve it. Like, he does not deserve maybe that I'm kind and gentle, but I deserve to be kind and gentle.
Yeah.
And so for 2.5 years, I kept showing up. I invited, I bought gifts for Father's Day, Christmas, birthdays, everything. And they were sometimes sent back and sometimes unopened and all that. I kept showing up. And one day he accepted the invitation. One day he came over for a cup of coffee. And then he came over and now today, not many people know this. We're like, we have dinner every week. We spent Christmas and New Year's together. So me and my partner, my ex-husband and his partner, we're like today, like 4 parents around our children. But that, I think, what is one of the most, I think, beautiful examples of how this affected my life. And it took for me to keep showing up with open arms and being kind and gentle person, because that's who I want to be. And it took for him to accept the invitation and to kind of let go of anger and step into this new relationship with me. So I think that is one of the biggest areas, especially now that my children see that their parents are hanging out and having fun, and they can freely go to my house, his house, and we do things together. So that was one specific example. But I think really, like, the person that you see or the person that you meet is a product. I don't want to refer to myself as a product, but the result, I think maybe that's a better word, result of many choices around who I want to be in this world, how I want to be towards others and towards myself.
Yeah, so really connecting in with your values. And what a gift for your children to model that and to be that person with your ex, so that they're not dealing with the conflict of their parents and all that goes with that. So good on you, because that's not an easy road to walk. So well done. And
thank you.
But also a gift to yourself, because you get to show up and be who you're comfortable being in the world as well.
Exactly. And I think that is so powerful. Like, in every moment you can choose who you want to be and how you want to be in this world. And so you can be absolutely overwhelmed by anxiety or anger or grief or anything else, and still you have a choice on how you show up. And I'm not saying, just go out there and grab the world while you are kind of completely lying flat on the floor with grief, but maybe you could take one little small step. Like, some days it was literally, if I brushed my teeth today, I would have done like one thing that is kind of normal life. So that was the standard, like getting my teeth brushed or something like that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? Is meeting ourselves where we're at when we're going through, particularly when we're going through really challenging parts in life. It sounds like you and I both share a strong value of authenticity. And I know for me, living my life in the way that I'm speaking and teaching to others is really important. And it sounds like it is to you as well. And some of the stuff, I listened to that story with your ex. I'm like, that's amazing. And people will be like, wow, Superwoman. And I'm sure there's elements of you that, oh, this amazing Superwoman. But I also know you're human. So I'm curious, despite all that learning, what have been some of the challenges? Because I think it's important when people listen in that it isn't just this thing of, well, if we practice this, you're going to get to this place where actually it's going to get easier. What
Mm.
are some of the challenges with that? Whether that's in that situation or other situations in your life, are you comfortable to share some of that with us?
Sure. Like, so I think that there are many challenges. Like, first of all, it's easier to talk about now than then because when I was in the middle of it, because now things are like smooth and literally, we have like a family with four parents, four adults around my children. But at the time, like I was sometimes very pissed off and heartbroken, and it felt unfair, and so I had all of that. And I have a strong little, I sometimes say like a circle around me, because that's how it feels when particularly the women in my life kind of stepped up and built a circle around me. So I have also like yelled, but not at him so that he could hear it, but like so that my friends could hear it. And there were many like ugly parts to that. And so it's not all just well, in a sense, it is deciding how you want to show up, but there's also this like having compassion for yourself in the struggle, and to see that most days you may show up kindly, and other days you may not show up at all, or you might show up like as somebody who's absolutely lost it, and that is okay. Like learning from those experiences. And so I think for me, authenticity is and so that I think that's what some people see in my teaching. Like you see, I'll cry, I'll tell stories, I'll talk about how I feel. I'll share these personal stories, and people will. I hope they will see me like model vulnerability, courage, and setting boundaries, and all of that. And I think one of the things, because I often get asked about this, about authenticity, I think there's a big difference between like authenticity and like transparency. I think authenticity for me is like showing up, being pretty honest about how you feel, and kind of modeling empowerment and all of that. Whereas I think sometimes transparency is sharing everything, which will and I'm saying this because many people go, oh, in order to be authentic, you have to tell everything, every struggle you've had and everything. And then people come into this kind of oversharing hangover, which is really, really difficult. So I think like, if people were asked like, how do you practice authenticity, I would say like, choose. This is again, choose what kind of person would you like to be, and then show up as her or him or they, and that is authenticity. And you don't have to share or be transparent about everything that's happening to you.
Yeah,
But I
and
think
choose what you want to share, isn't it? It's like being authentic as
choose
well
what
in terms of this is how much I
exactly,
want to give of myself to somebody. And people perhaps in
exactly,
my closer circle will get more of me. And perhaps
exactly.
somebody who I work with once or twice will get, not a less version, but less of me in terms of what I'm sharing of myself.
Absolutely. And so I think like to answer, I think you said like, what is the like what how do you handle that struggle? Or I think you asked me something about that. And I think to go back to what we talked about earlier is to get up again. Like every time you fall and every time you do something that is completely not the person you want to be, come back, get up.
Yeah. It takes a lot of courage, I think, to be out in the world and to share of yourself, to be
Yeah.
vulnerable, to live in an authentic way. And I'm curious, where do you draw your courage from? Which I'm sure is
I
not one place, but
Well, I think like if I look back on my life, I think that I have always been pretty courageous. So I have like I have jumped like I did bungee jump, and I've done like a few things that I would never do now. But I've always had this I think inclination to look at what is really scary, and then could I be willing to try it? And I think also courage, it's so individual, isn't it? Because, for me, the funny thing is that doing a bungee jump, for me, then it didn't feel, well, it was scary, but it didn't feel scary so much. But today now, like maybe sharing something could feel even more scarier than doing a bungee jump. So I think it's very, very individual. So courage, I think, is all about looking at what scares me and then doing it when it is important. So like, I wouldn't go and pet a snake, a dangerous snake, just because I would do it. So I really choose my moments of courage with intention. So whenever it feels important, I do it. And I also I really want to model this to my children and to everybody around me, that if you wait until you feel completely sure that this is a great idea or completely safe in certain situation, you can wait forever. And life is not going to wait for you, and so it's really, really, courage for me serves a greater purpose, both like in my own life, to broaden my repertoire, but really as a way of being like taking the lead for others, and showing them that this is possible for you. You're going to have to take the step, but I will gladly go like in front of you, or when you need that, or next to you when you need that, or behind you, but showing people that courage is possible. And it does come with anxiety, or fear. Like it wouldn't be courage, I think, if there were no fear. So I feel fear a lot, and I choose to do things that seem scary.
So it sounds like values are a big part of that for you, to move you towards that courage. Is, if this is meaningful to me, if this is something that fits with my values, then I'm going to move forward and do it. It also sounds like you draw some courage from your children, because this is what you want to model to them as well. But also you mentioned this circle of women that have formed around you and support you. And I think, that connection, we're social beings, aren't we? I think that connection with others can really kind of buoy us up and help us move forward when things are tricky.
And I think that's such a big part of it too, that to see that you are not alone. Sometimes I think we may all feel very alone, but I learned through, and it was multiple situations, but I have now slowly learned to ask for help and to receive help. And that, I think, I would rather bungee jump with no bunkie, or I don't know what's it, no elastic, just jump, than to ask for help or show up vulnerable. Because, and I think I see this in maybe in particular in therapists, we are the helpers, we're supposed to be experts and we help others, so it feels like completely outside of our comfort zone often, to ask for help. And I think this of course goes beyond people's profession, but for me it was so difficult to ask for help and to allow myself to be surrounded by, and in this case, it was women. And I will say in my life, it's, there are several, humans around me. But in my heartbreak, it was the women in my life who just, it felt like they built a wall around me, which was beautiful.
That's so beautiful that you have that as well. Absolutely.
And they get to see that. They saw the ugly parts. They saw me sit on the floor I sat with a bag and box. You have that. I guess you have that, a 3 liters of red wine, binging on that on my floor, crying. And they were like, okay. And so they sat down with me. And then we sat there, and then they helped me. But they, maybe you should take a shower, maybe you should brush your teeth, maybe we should go and get some fresh air, and then we'll go in and we'll continue with the wine and crying and throwing stuff. But so you have somebody who will see that part of you where you are not put together, where you are absolutely, maybe not the person you want to be, but the person that you are in that moment. And they would hold my hand still, and they would not leave me.
Yeah, that's
And I
beautiful.
think that's a fear many of us has. Like if I show up, like if
Mm.
they see that part of me, they will leave me.
Yeah, if you
So
really
I
knew
just
me.
want to say that, yeah, exactly. If you really knew me, you wouldn't. And so trusting that people who care about you will step up and help you even, or even maybe even particularly on your worst days.
Yeah. And I think, you raised before about for helping professionals, reaching out and asking for help can be really tricky. And like you say, not just for helping professionals, but for humans and depending on
Yeah,
our own family of origin, our own life experiences. And I think it can bring up a lot of complex emotions. So, for people listening, it's not as easy as like, well, just go ask for help. Like, honor that for
no,
yourself, go gently with yourself, because this can bring up a lot of complex emotions when we're going against something that feels like something we shouldn't do. A lot of people can have
yeah,
shame show up when they're asking, like, I shouldn't need help. I should know, particularly if I'm a therapist. I should know how to deal with
yeah,
these things because I'm a trained therapist.
yeah,
But as we know, it doesn't work
yeah.
like that. We're human
It
first.
doesn't work. And I know, and I love that you said like we're humans first. And I think sometimes even for me it was a bit hard when then my friends who are not in, not all the friends, but this particular group who the circle of women who stood around me, none of them are therapists. So when they said something, I was kind of evaluating their responses, and I would like, oh, I would, sometimes I think I would say this differently as a third. Like that thing is it's hard to receive advice when you when you and this is so horrible to say this. I think it's horrible to say this, but I felt like I knew better. And then also allowing people to give advice in a way that because they're not trained to give advice in a way that maybe you are as a psychologist. So
Mhm.
and I think that for me it has evolved to not just ask for help, but also kind of checking in on myself. What kind of help do I need?
Yeah.
Like, do I need advice? Do I need somebody to just sit with me? Do we need to go in and just we have been yelling in the forest and smashing the trees. I'm not proud of this, but we took branches and we were smashing the trees. That would be the kind of help I needed. And
Yeah.
so also I think that when I teach this to others, asking for help, also thinking about like what kind of help is it that I need? Because
Yeah.
some people will offer you something that is kind of not exactly what you need. They would offer you some kind of advice, and you're just hugely triggered by that, and
Yeah.
totally, feel, oh, that's not what I asked for. So asking for help, but also thinking like, what kind of help, what kind of support do I need, and then instructing your people to kind of to or invite them to give you that.
Yeah. I was listening to something the other day and I honestly cannot remember what I was listening to. So apologies to whoever's information it was, but it was a married couple, husband and wife couple, and they were talking about when there is a problem with something, they will ask, do you need comfort or a solution? And I
Oh,
thought,
I
what
love
a
that.
beautiful,
Mm,
simple
mm,
start to something. It's like, I'm suffering. Okay, what do you need? Comfort or a solution?
yes.
So I think
And
that speaks to
I
what
think
you were saying.
exactly. And the thing is that you can teach this to others. My children will do that now. They will come to me and they will say, Mom, I need you to listen to this. Or they'll say, Mom, I need you to give a solution to this or
Yeah.
something like that. So they will even, sometimes I will ask, and I think because I've asked this question a bazillion times, they
Yeah.
will now, even when they are asking, they will formulate what it is that they need. Um, and I think this is a skill. Like we
Oh,
can. I see so many people out there, and sometimes, especially women, hoping that others will be able to read their mind and give them what they need, which I totally understand. But if we want something, we're gonna have to ask for it,
yeah.
and support is such a I think abstract word. So what kind of support we are looking for, or what kind of help, or what kind of whatever, and the more we can be very specific about that, the more we are giving ourselves opportunity to be helped the way we need to be helped, or to be supported, or whatever it is that we need.
Absolutely. Slowing down and tuning in and asking that question of ourselves.
Yeah.
Do I need comfort? Do I need support? What is it I
Yeah.
need? I like to ask
Yeah.
myself as well with stuff of, what internal resources do I have that I can draw on? And also, what
Yeah.
external resources do I need to go and seek out as well? And that
Yeah.
might be going to somebody and saying, actually, hey, Ricky, I've got this thing going on. Can you help me? And this is what I'd find really helpful. Which it takes courage, right?
Yes.
Because somebody might go,
It
no,
does.
I'm not going to help you, or I want to help you in this particular way, because people don't always want to do what you want. So again, it takes vulnerability, that willingness to be vulnerable, and the courage to ask the questions, both of yourself and of other people.
Yes, and I love what you're saying. I think also the courage to keep asking and then finding out, because one of the things that I have found out in my life, and I think this will ring a bell with most of you, is that sometimes we are asking the wrong people. Like, I could ask a fish to climb a tree, like from now until Christmas,
Yeah.
and it will not be able to do that. So in my life, I have people that I know, like, this person will not be able to give me that, but they will be able to give me something else. So
Yeah.
also like realizing you are not asking too much, but you may be asking the wrong person. So who can you go to, and who can you, who will give you what you need, and then have kind of a variety of people around you that
Yeah.
could help you in different ways.
Yeah. I think it makes such a good
I
point.
have this, I have,
So,
Yeah, I have a particular person in my life who always gives advice, and it's not very welcome, but I see that this person loves me, and that's how they show that. And I'm like, I'm seeing it. I'm not listening to the advice,
yeah.
but I am seeing that this person genuinely is caring for me in this moment. So I'm just like receiving the love, but
Mm.
not taking the advice per se.
Mm.
And one of the things, like, if I could ask people to do one thing after this, which this is something I found really hard but very helpful, ask for a hug. Like, it's so amazing. Like, when you are having like, go to your partner and say, I need a hug.
Yeah.
And or go to your child, or invite. So my children will do that now. They'll come in and they'll go, and they're like, they're young men now, right? One is driving a car, and they're both going to the gym, and they have partners, and they're
Yeah.
young adults, but they will still come and say, I need a hug.
Yeah.
And then we have a rule in our house. We drop everything and we hug. Like, so,
Mm.
and just the power of that, like stepping outside of words and just putting your arms around each other.
Yeah.
That's an invitation to anybody who's listening. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And for, that there are humans who don't like the hugs. And I think about what that
Oh,
thing is for yourself. If it's not a hug, what is your equivalent of a hug? And ask for that.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly. I love that.
on your website, I notice you call yourself Chief Changemaker. I like that. And you're certainly seen as a leader within your field. What would be some words of advice that you'd offer to others, and particularly to those who identify as women, about stepping into a leadership role in their own lives?
Oh, I love this question. And um, I think, I think again, this comes down to what we've talked about, the courage to lead. And I think nobody, well, maybe it will happen, but rarely somebody will come and say, please, could you lead?
Yeah,
Or, you rarely will get that invitation. You will have to take the lead, and you'll have to it's a choice for you to step into that. And it's funny, I don't see myself as a leader. And I know many people say that, but and then I also hear, I just said, I am willing to go first. I'm willing to, like, take the lead. But
kind of the
I'm not
definition of
where I
leader,
am
right?
because exactly. But I'll just say, I'm not where I am because I decided I want to be a leader, but more I want to lead. And for me, there's a difference
Yeah,
between those two. It's not the role I'm chasing. It's the I want to be somebody's North Star. I know it sounds very big, but like I want to be somebody who will be willing to step into the dark or do something difficult, and then allow others to do the same.
Yeah.
So the advice would be to not wait until somebody gives you permission to lead. So I think rather than thinking like, who's going to let me, I'm more like, who's going to stop me? So I will, I will go with fear, with fear of criticism, with all of that, and I will keep going, and I will hopefully inspire others as others inspire me, because I think, again, this is not a solo trip, this is a group journey. And so sometimes I might need somebody else to walk ahead of me.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Nepal a few years ago. You probably heard me speak about this a lot of in variety of ways. But so just quickly, I was in Nepal and I was walking, trekking with Louise Hayes, a beautiful psychologist in Australia. And we were a group and we were walking up this mountain, and it was really, really, there was no air. Well, there were air, but because of that altitude, it was difficult to breathe. And the guide, the Sherpa guide, he just walked next, or just actually right in front of me. And the thing is, I noticed that he was kind of looking at my body language. And then I kind of tapped into his breathing and his steps. So even there were no words, but I was just like, I tapped in again to his breathing. I just followed his steps. And I think that was so powerful for me. I needed somebody to be just half a step ahead of me and kind of help me get up that hill. And so I think sometimes we underestimate. We think that in order to lead, we have to have it all together, and have something very smart to say and be very articulate and perfect. Like you and me just agreed before this podcast. Let's not be perfect.
No.
Let's not be perfect. Like if we say something wrong, it's just going to be there. And sometimes, so remember that leading doesn't have to be being together and being articulate and being smart. Sometimes it really is just breathing and taking a step, and being close to somebody else who will then follow.
Yeah, absolutely. I said before, when you said I'm willing to go first, and I said that's the definition of leadership, and I just wanted to actually say, because as soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, no, it's not. I think it's one of the things about leadership, isn't it? But I think also we can lead in the middle, surrounded by people. Other people can be going forward. There's different ways to lead. So I just did want to clarify that is not what I see as the definition of leadership, that we always have to be the ones kind of jumping in first. But I think you're right. It's that showing up, isn't it? It's willing to take some steps, maybe sometimes picking up the torchlight and shining it so other people can see the path, and they might go past you up the path.
Exactly. And when that happens, I applaud them.
Yes.
Like, yes, like, seeing others shine. Like, I remember my parents would say I was horrible at sports because I would congratulate the others when they were winning. I was, oh, that's a good like, I was horrible. My dad was on the side, like, you gotta, he wanted me to get into that winning mode. It just didn't happen for me. And so I think that's more of the way I see myself today. When others are shining, when others are having success, sometimes I will feel envy, of course, but I'm more like happy with them. And I'm like, you go, girl, or you go, human. I'm just so proud of you, because this is not a cake. It's not a cake where there's like a slice for all of us or a slice for some of us. This is like infinite. And that's what I love, to see people shine, and have success. It doesn't mean financially, it could be, but having success for me is living the life of your dreams. Like, I love when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think like this, and I think this notion of, or deciding not, I like what I said before. Can I say that? I think I just said something that I will like afterwards, that not thinking who's gonna allow me to do this, but more like who's gonna stop me. Like, get into that mode and decide I'm gonna go for whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is important to me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so wonderful. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's such a thrill working with people and seeing them make choices based on getting
Yeah,
to know themselves, getting to know what they want, and then making choices about taking action to live the full and meaningful lives that they want to be living. It's very thrilling
exactly.
work. Absolutely. Now, you also have your own podcast, Cocktails and Courageous Conversations. What a cool title that
Yeah.
is. What inspired and motivated you to start the podcast? And what do you enjoy most about it?
So the thing is that I have always felt pretty outside when it comes to the larger community of my peers, and it's not that it's not like I don't think that my peers are trying to make me feel like this, but I suffer from comparisonitis. Like I compare myself to others, and then I feel like everybody else is cooler and smarter, and everybody else has a PhD and has written a bazillion books and all of that. And so whenever I would walk around on conferences, I would first of all feel like, I'm not as smart as any of these people here. And I would also hear like all of these conversations and see all these lectures where it's a lot of statistics and there's evidence and there's this and there's that. And then I would see myself after all of that in the bar, hanging out with amazing people. And this is not about the alcohol because, having a cup of coffee at the bar even. And I'd talk to people about like, what do you care about? Like, tell me about you. And I thought this is such a cool thing. Like when the therapists kind of get off work and hang out in the evening in the bar, they'll still talk about the things that they're passionate about. They'll still talk about the book that they wrote, but they do it in a slightly different manner. And I thought, let's do this. And I thought, but nobody will watch or nobody will want to be my guest. So this was a project where the bar was really set low, like I'll do it and I'll maybe do one episode and then maybe I'll do two. And so I know many podcasters, I think like yourself, you kind of have a schedule, you come out, once a month or whatever it is. But for me, this is just like whenever I have the time, I interview somebody. So what I enjoy is that to get online because so it's online mostly now. And we'll have a cocktail and sometimes a cup of coffee. It doesn't matter. And then I interview people about like what it is that you're passionate about. So it's fun to talk with, people that you and me, maybe we've read their books and we know they're kind of their professional, very professional side, and also meeting like kind of the person behind that. So that was the idea. And I really I really like that people appreciate it. And for me, it was simply just a passion project born out of a bar.
Fantastic. I mean, let's face it, lots of good ideas
Yes,
come from the most random of places, don't they? I still
exactly.
think to myself, how come I'm on season 4 of a podcast? How come I've got a podcast? But when you were saying,
Well, because you're pretty awesome.
thank you, very kind.
And because you keep showing up, like so you did. I'm guessing you did one episode, and then you did two, and then you just kept doing it because it's rewarding for you and for, of course, for your listeners and for the people who you invite. So well done you for showing up and making this change in the world that you're making.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think normalizing that, getting to a conference and thinking, oh my gosh, everyone's smarter than me. Everybody's done a gazillion more things than me. I think most people that walk in conferences, even the people who have done the gazillion things, are all thinking that as well. And with the podcast, is anyone
Yeah.
even going to listen? And then all of a sudden you have people listening and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, this is very cool.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I had a supervisor a long time ago before I was practicing, and she was somebody who gets huge amounts of grant money and, is on different boards around the country. And I can remember going to a meeting with her and her speaking about how surprised she was that she was asked to be on these things. And I'm looking at her thinking, you are a legend. Like, what? How would you feel like you've got imposter syndrome? But then it was like, oh, wow, actually, that's really good because that really
Yeah.
normalized for me that actually even the people who are out there being really successful have these fears and worries and
Yeah.
concerns as well. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think
We
you've got
all
to,
have it. We all have
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to ask you my favorite question that I ask everybody. If you could meet your 80-year-old self, what do you think she would
Oh,
say to you?
ah, here comes the tears, I think. Well, I know.
Yeah.
If I could meet my 80-year-old self. So I think she would say, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Um, I think she'd say, I'm proud of you. I think she'd say, you got up. Um, you got up one more time than you were knocked down every time. I think she'd say, um, you made you made an impact.
Yeah.
You changed people's lives. And I'm moved by that because I'm overwhelmed by pride like right now. I feel very proud. I think she'd also say, like, if I got to hang out and have a few glasses of wine with her, she'd probably say, like, you should have worked less and travel more, like all of that.
Yeah.
But if I just met her briefly and she'd be kind, I think she'd say, I'm proud of you
Yeah.
for showing up even when it was hard.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm
Yeah.
sure she would. You have done so
What
much.
would yours say?
Oh, you've turned that on me. Wow, nobody's done that before.
I turn it. Like I what like so let's say like let's meet our 80-year-olds to get what would yours say?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think first of all, she'd say, get over here and give me a hug.
Yeah.
Um, I think my 80-year-old self would say, I love you. You are enough.
Yeah.
I've always been enough.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying
Yeah.
and doing all the work that you've done in the world. And like you, I I feel moved by that because like many of us, have struggled with many things throughout my life, and I have persevered, and I have also got up more times than I've been down. And I do feel good about the work that I put out into the world. It's and the best thing for me about it, not only do I feel good about it, but I'm having fun. I'm having fun
Yes.
doing it. Yeah. Like getting to have
I'm so
conversations
moved by
like this is just it's fantastic. Like, who gets to do this? This is just fun, right?
I'm so moved by this right now. I know we can see each other, but people
Yeah.
can't see us right now. I'm just like watching you say that. I'm really moved. And I just love that nobody's asked you that, but the answer you just delivered, unrehearsed, was very moving. I'm just like I'm sobbing over here, Hayley. Yeah.
And that has been a
And I
huge
love how
thing.
we
Go on, you go.
and just this question that and so we'll use this in therapy and in other um instances or in other contexts, but the question about having that perspective, looking back at yourself, I think it's just so powerful. Just wanted to remind us how powerful it is,
Mm.
uh checking in with our 80-year-old self and drawing wisdom from that.
Yeah,
Again, I'm pretty sure my 80-year-old would say, oh, you should work less and
yeah,
travel more. And I think that is very valid wisdom, but also connecting with the I love you, I'm proud of you, you were always enough.
yeah,
Like, isn't that lovely to
yeah.
meet that 80-year-old?
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm ACT trained and then found the world of compassion focused therapy. And as people who listen know, that has been life changing for me. And there's a time that if somebody
Yeah.
else had asked me that, one, I would have said, well, I don't think I'll ever get to meet her. And two, I would have said, I would never have been able to say, you're enough, you've always been enough, I love you, I'm proud of you. Like that's in itself been a road to be traveled that I have walked along. And it feels lovely for you to have flipped that question on me. At first, I was like, that's a bit cheeky, Ricky, but I like it. And to be able to have answered that so easily, that actually feels really nice, actually. So thank you for flipping the question on to me. And
Thank you
I
for
would,
sharing. I know it's vulnerable.
yeah, but I would also say to you as well, given that your 80-year-old self would say, work less, travel more, I hope that you might reflect on that for yourself before you get to
Yeah,
80.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think there's so much wisdom. Don't wait till you're 80 to get that, to understand that. Maybe you should do that right now.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm going to make a choice, I might actually check in with myself and say, what's future Hayley think about that then?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
even going back, I do that a lot as well. I have a picture of myself when I was just little, and I'll use this in my trainings. So I'm guessing you mostly see clients. The clients I see are practitioners.
Yeah, I
So I
mainly work
help
with
people
practitioners.
do act. Yeah. And so I'll have people then bring a picture of themselves from when they were little, either like physically or digitally, and even like talking to your younger self can
Yeah.
be so powerful as well. So I just love this time traveling thing that
Yeah.
you just did with us. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of you for sharing, and I'm really proud of you. And I also think something that you said that is so important, Hayley, is that the first time we meet our 80-year-old self, the story may not be as loving and kind and compassionate,
Yeah.
but it's a skill that we can practice,
Yeah.
like meeting ourselves with that kind of compassion.
Absolutely. Changing that relationship that we have with ourselves. It's well
Yes.
worth
Yeah.
it. Hard work, I think, but well worth it. Yeah. So if people
Yes.
want to
So
find
true.
out more about you, Ricky, or get in touch, where can they find you and engage with you and your work? And I'll pop links in the show
So
notes.
yeah. So there are two main places. So I'm trying to be on social media, and that's a skill I want to be better at. I'm better at you know teaching act than marketing myself. But if you would support me, like find me on social media, Instagram, and support me there. But my website is my name, so www.rikkikjelgaard.com. You can put it in the links. And I also have a Facebook group for practitioners from all over the world. So if you want to come in and connect with me, and this is a place where you can ask questions, and I will ask you questions about values and stuff. So feel free to come and join the Facebook group, and you can put that link. So my website and rikkikjelgaard.com. And also so I work in Swedish and Danish as well. So if you come to my main website, you can then choose to navigate to my Swedish website or my Danish website. I'm a multi-international act person. So my website and in the Facebook group, that's where I live. And also I can just say I'm not trying to sell you anything, but if you really wanted to connect and learn something, I have what is called the Act Practitioners Academy, which is a place where people pay a little monthly fee, and then each month I deliver a new piece of training, and each month we have a Q&A. So we get on Zoom and I ask all of the questions that people may have. So that is an opportunity as well. So it's the actpractitionersacademy.com.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that. And it saddens me when I hear women, and it does tend to be women. I'm sure some men do it as well, but it does tend to be women. When you have something to offer the world, and we have kind of been socialized into don't really be doing that, don't really tell people what you're doing. And this thing of like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not trying to sell you something. Actually, please do, because there's people that need it. So thank you for being brave enough to
Yes.
self-market and go you. So anybody wants to join that and learn more about ACT from Ricky, then go ahead, and I will put those links in the show notes. So finally, before we have to say goodbye, and I don't really want to end this conversation, but we'll have to. If you could distill it down into one piece of advice, and I know that's really quite hard to kind of just have it as one, what would you most want our listeners to take away from our conversation today?
You have the best questions, really.
Thank you.
I just love your question. So I think, again, this is hard to distill it down. What I would say, don't wait. Don't wait for permission to shine, you lovely diamond. Go out there and shine the way that you shine, and just keep shining. So don't wait for permission. You have permission. Like, you have permission to live the life you want to. So I think that would be my advice. Get up. I think there are several advice here. I hear that, but get up every time you get knocked down, which is hard, but don't wait for permission. I think that would be my number one. Do not wait for permission.
Yeah.
We are holding ourselves back more than enough. And if I will be your supporter. Like, if you're out there listening to my voice, imagine me like cheering for you like a mad person. I would be happy to cheer for anybody who listens and needs a little support.
Absolutely. It's almost like, for anyone out there that doesn't feel they can give themselves permission, you have it right here, right now, from Rikke and from me.
Yes.
Get out there, live the life you want to live, and do the things you want to do. And we are cheering.
Yeah.
Yay.
We are cheering. Yes. Like, imagine the most glittery cheerleaders. That's who we are. Crying like, I would be the one. I would be crying, clapping my hands, like sobbing, because I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
So please shine on, you beautiful diamond. Do not wait.
Yeah. Fantastic. Rikke, this has just been heartwarming. It's been interesting. It's been fun. I've loved it. I've loved meeting you. I've loved chatting with you. I have no doubt that people are going to get a lot from this. It's just been so great. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
You're very much welcome, and I'm always happy to come back whenever you need me. And I'll be cheering for you as well, Hayley. You lovely diamond. I'll be.
we can just start a massive cheer squad around the world.
We'll do a cheer squad, exactly. Thank you so much, and thank you for the lovely work you're doing. Yeah, come join us.
And that's the thing, we can put out an invitation. If you want to be part of the cheer squad, you just find some people in your life and you just start cheering for them and ask them for them to cheer for you as well. And we can just start this beautiful sense of everybody supporting each other. I've had a conversation twice recently of, this rising tide lifts all ships.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So thank you again. Beautiful to see you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for sharing this time with me today. I hope your time here was helpful and supportive. If there has been something in this episode that you found helpful, I invite you to share it with another person you think might benefit. I'd also love it if you'd leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you tune in. Ratings and reviews really help to increase awareness of podcasts, meaning I can spread helpful information more widely. All reviews are welcome and much appreciated, as I know they take time out of your day. If you'd like to be notified when the next episode airs, please use the link in the show notes to join my mailing list. Music and editing by Nissa Ray. Thanks, Nissa. I wish you all well in your relationship with yourself, and may you go well and go gently.